Government provision and subsidies bring many benefits. Most importantly, the government revenue allocated to the provision of national defense and the subsidies towards national defense weapon production increases quantity in order to convert potential welfare gain into actual welfare gain. This allows the people to feel safe and work without fear of their security being compromised. As stated before, this not only reduces crime rates, but also increases the workforce's productivity and potentially economic growth in the long run. However, provision and subsidies rely on government revenue, of which is mostly accumulated through taxes. Furthermore, governments are often vulnerable to lobbying and may answer the needs of the private sector rather than the needs of society. Thus, the government may allocate less resources into public goods that have positive externalities in favor of these corrupt firms. Governments are also not the best at picking winners. Sometimes, the subsidies and resources may be misallocated. For example, solar company Solyndra received over $500 million in subsidies from the US Energy Department but filed for bankruptcy a few months later. In addition, it is also possible that people do not pay taxes and do something that is known as tax avoidance and tax evasion. Tax avoidance simply means that some people will try to minimize their taxes through legal means, while tax evasion means that people avoid paying taxes altogether, which is illegal. Once again, this illustrates the free rider problem, except through exploitation of the legal system or even through illegal means. The free rider problem tends to lead to a behavioral tendency that is referred to as tragedy of the commons.
Tragedy of the commons, according to Investopedia, is an economic problem in which every individual tries to reap the greatest benefit from a given source. As the demand for the resource overwhelms the supply, every individual who consumes an additional unit directly harms others who can no longer enjoy the benefits. Usually, the resource is easily available to all. That is why they abuse it for their own well-being instead of thinking about the well-being of the society. There are many examples for tragedy of the commons due to civilization's greedy and toxic nature. However, a devastating one is the depletion of the Grand Bank off the coast of Newfoundland. These fishermen around the area of Newfoundland were informed that the fishing grounds contained an abundance of codfish. Therefore, to individually gain a lot of fish, the fisheries continued to exploit the good. And as they continued, fishing technology got more advanced and resulted in fishermen being able to catch up to massive amounts of cod. The fisheries continue exploiting until the demand exceeds the supply, consequently depleting the resource, thus a termination of the product. Producers find solutions to maintain their source by converting the public land into their own private property. This is to privatize the good. Another solution governments uphold is regulation, a law that controls how a business can function. And it could be to limit the amount a common good can be available for any individual. Governments continue to implement policies in the interest of both the fishing environment and the private sector.